And welcome back. As we go ahead and continue looking at arrays, we of course have now looked at both single dimension and multi-dimensional arrays. But one thing that we want to come back and revisit is passing those arrays into functions. So this comes back to something that we kind of said we were going to talk a little bit about later, which is using arrays as a parameter in a function. And of course, we've already reviewed, of course, how to do functions and how to do arrays. So if we want an example of how we can do that, we can look right here. We say void my function int my number is 5, and then of course we would just have our for loop inside of there to do whatever we want that array to do. In terms of our main, you can see all it is, we have to simply, when we call that function, we simply just put in the name of whatever we're passing in. Now one thing you'll note is up here when you say my function, you will notice that the array is defining a size. So this is saying it's size 5, and how many elements do we have here? We have 5. So just keep that in mind. Now, so with that code, let's break it down a little bit more just to make sure we have a good understanding of how this is working. The function, in this case my function, takes an array as its parameter and loops through the array elements with the for loop. When the function is called inside main, we pass along the my numbers array, which is simply going to output the array elements. Now note when you call the function, you need to use the name of the array when passing as an argument. So for example, my function, my numbers. However, the full declaration of the array is needed in the function parameter, which we saw as int my numbers bracket 5. So again, we have to make sure we specify that size in there. And let's just go ahead and take a look at what that would look like if we go ahead and execute that code. And you can see it just prints out 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So pretty simple function. But what if I did something where, let's say I want to add these up. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this function real quick. And let's just change this to add function. And I'm still going to keep the parameter the same because I'm going to use that same array. And instead of saying, all this other stuff that we have going on with the print statement, instead what I wanted it to do is to add up a variable here. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to make an int in here. So just say int sum and set that equal to 0. And let's go ahead and then inside of our for loop, we'll do sum. And what we're going to do is we want to get whatever value we currently have here. So it would be sum equals sum plus, and I'm just going to copy this here so we don't have to replace that. So sum equals sum plus my numbers of I, so it's going to get whatever the current value in the array is. And then what we want to do is change this from a void to an int, because I'm going to make this actually just return a number here. So let's say return sum. And in my main here, let's do a printf. And we're going to have it simply just output an integer value. And we'll call, this is add function. And we are going to pass into it the my numbers array. And our semicolon, almost forgot that again. And let's just give it a run. And now you can see we got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That is, of course, the my function output right here. And then we have 150, which is the add function here. Now, of course, I could add some print statements and stuff like that to really kind of help differentiate this. For example, I might just put I'm just going to put a blank printf in here just so that way I know that this is a new line character here, just so we can separate that out so it doesn't look like it's still part of the same one. Boom, there it is. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 150. But again, just another quick example of how we can pass in a array. And this, of course, is a void method. So a nice good example for you there. And this is a return method. So another example for you there using an array as a parameter.